In space, no one can hear your scream. You have listened to it right, that we are all terrified of the dark, ghosts, and monsters in some way. Well, that's a personal opinion. Some individuals felt that if God exists, then ghosts must also exist. Others assert that everything is a matter of imagination, that evil and dark fantasies become nightmares, and that the horrifying reality of those dreams leave you with when you wake up, which dissatisfied reality awaits you when you awake. So, to learn some information that seems horrifying and accept truth, no matter how unpleasant it may be. Also, to retrieve a key from the depths. That is, they really exist, or there is something tragic, some stories behind it. Let's delve into this spooky series of horror to explore London's top haunted places. Will make you hear the whistle of witches at different pitches, calling things that don't even have names. Where from those? The first haunted place named as the Tower of London, one of England's most recognizable buildings and a monument of international renown. Have a look on these images. It is standing majestically on the north bank of the River Thames, which is approx 54.6 miles far from Tower. The tower displays London's splendor. However, what is inside completely contrasts with what is seen outside. Not a treasure, but a ghostly presence. Yes, the Tower of London has centuries worth of history contained behind its stone walls. For more than 1,000 years, ghosts continue to haunt this tower. Many paranormal investigators arrived and conducted research, but they produced no results. Something on the tower's roof, in the road that always seems more peculiar and like someone, is standing there calling your name. Now, let's delve into the history of the London Tower. This 90 feet tall tower was constructed in the 11th century by William Conqueror to safeguard and preserve his position as King of England. The Tower of London developed into not just an amazing stronghold, but also a royal residence. It also served as the setting for some of the most gory historical scenes. Over the centuries, it has seen kings and queens come and go, watched prisoners be tortured, and witnessed countless executions within its walls. It ended up being a symbol of royal power and one of the most secure fortresses in the country. It is not only a stronghold of history, but also an enduring source of horror stories that continue to haunt us today. The Tower of London is known for its grisly past, having been the home to many famous and infamous prisoners until 1952. It was also said that 3 English queens, Anne Boleyn, Catherine Howard, and Lady Jane Grey, were executed during the Tudor era. A mother executed due of her son's transgressions. The alleged murder of the 2 young princes by their uncle, the Duke of Gloucester, who had them imprisoned in the Bloody Tower. Also included some of England's most treasured monarchs, such as Anne Boleyn, who was beheaded. It is said that at night she roaming in the corridors, and Sir Walter Raleigh, also imprisoned in 1603 by King James I. He is also to be seen along the battlements, who is now known as Raleigh's Walk. Our second most haunted place in London's Henry VI's Hampton Court Palace Hotel, Theatre, and expansive recreation area by the 1530s. The palace, worth €1 billion greenery, covered its surroundings, where the king utilized it to exhibit his grandeur and authority in all conceivable ways, including costly court life, sumptuous feasts, and outrageously expensive artwork. Henry VIE was the former King of England. Now, the question raises how the one of the beautiful palace in London's history turned into a haunted place. Let's delve into real facts. Hampton Court Palace is infamous as the setting for the tragic stories of Henry VI's 6 wives, so it's no surprise that people have been reporting ghostly sightings there for hundreds of years. It makes sense that the ghost of a lady been spotted wandering the clock court of the palace, as we can look in the photographs. Isn't it creepy? Whose ghost is it? Let's first understand what happened. Jane Seymour, Henry VI's 3rd wife, would be depressed. Just 12 days after giving birth to Henry's eagerly anticipated male heir, Jane passed away on October 24, 1537. After giving birth to Prince Edward, she died of fever which caused Henry to experience a prolonged period of deep bereavement. It is said the silver stick stairs in the palace, which formerly led to the apartment where Jane gave birth and passed away, are supposed to be visited by a pale, melancholic woman dressed in white and holding a lit candle on the anniversary of Edward's birth. She may be searching for her son and spouse as she spotted wandering the clock court. Also, a whole hallway of the palace known as the Haunted Gallery was named after Catherine Howard, Henry's fifth wife, yes, whose ghost is said to haunt the place on a regular basis. After being accused of adultery and treason, Catherine fled screaming down what is now known as the Haunted Gallery in an attempt to locate the king and ask for his pardon. She never saw Henry again after being hauled off by royal guards, and it has been said that her spirit frequently makes the same terrible trip down the gallery. This was the real story of Hampton Court Palace. Now, the question raises, is there still anybody residing at Hampton Court Palace currently? Yes, an independent charity manages 6 of the most famous palaces and locations in the United Kingdom, is now the owner of the palace. To perform their jobs and even maintain Hampton Court Palace, they hire a small number of employees who live there. So this was the skin-short antidote of London. Fast forward to our third haunted place from where the screams comes out by the call of the spirit. Our third location to explore is Highgate Cemetery. This belonged to a tale of men in black robes engaging in sinister rites. Began to circulate. Ghosts and ghouls haunted the alleyways around the graveyard. At Highgate Cemetery, people here reported seeing red-eyed demons peering at them over the fence. Look, as in the images, anyone can easily pretend that it's a beautiful place. There were greenery all over. It looks like a forest more than a cemetery. Could you imagine this place could be haunted? All thought it is. It is said that a tall, dark figure known as the Highgate Vampire moves through the cemetery with ease. Often, a sharp drop in temperature signals his arrival. He's also been known to stopwatches and clocks. All animals around him are terrified of him, and he has been held responsible for many of the dead foxes on the cemetery grounds. All who come into contact with the Highgate Vampire are struck dumb by his mesmerizing gaze and spine, tingling effect, especially those who have the audacity to spend the night in the cemetery. Now, what's the history behind Highgate Cemetery? Which famous people are interred there? Where is the Highgate Vampire? Is there such a thing as a vampire? Let's move ahead towards the answers. Highgate Cemetery was created by architect Stephen Geary and is located in North London, England. The West and East cemeteries have roughly 170,000 persons buried in approximately 53,000 graves. Well, Highgate Cemetery has always been a popular tourist destination. The most well-known monument is the horrible one to Karl Marx. Christina Rossetti and the majority of her family were buried in Highgate, as was Dante Gabriel Rossetti's wife, Elizabeth Siddall, who received the only copy of his poems. There were also some British horror films, including Taste the Blood of Dracula, 1970, Tales from the Crypt, 1972, and From Beyond the Grave, 1974, inspired by Highgate Cemetery. There is a very famous quote of Emily Dickinson said, "Nature is a haunted house, but art is a house that tries to be haunted. But what if the house is haunted too?" With the following series coming to our most heard next anecdote, which is 50 Berkeley Square, the Little House of Horrors, a place where even paranormal investigators are afraid to visit. George Canning, the Prime Minister, was one of the many occupants of the Mayfair townhouse dating back to the 18th century. So, what makes this particular house so haunted? What happened here, and most importantly, are the stories true? Let's understand. Built in 1750, the Mayfair townhouse has withstood a great deal of neglect to stand tall. Thankfully, 50 Berkeley Square was restored and is currently owned by booksellers Mags Bross. The house was created by renowned landscape architect William Kent and is painted with a deep blue tint color. The residence was occupied by Prime Minister George Canning from 1770 until his passing in 1827, and then by the Honorable Hone Elizabeth Curzon until her 91st birthday in 1859. It was during her reign that the ghost stories started to emerge. Following Miss Curzon's death, a strange man named Thomas Myers purchased the house. He had recently experienced his fiancee's rejection, which drove him somewhat insane. His nocturnal demeanor heightened the paranormal stories. Myers lived in the night and slept during the day, rarely leaving the house. He made odd noises and sounds throughout his nightly walks within his house, frightening the neighbors and random bystanders. A tax agent visited the house in 1773 after Myers stopped paying his taxes. He made the decision not to impose further taxes on the residence after observing its condition. Myers bequeathed his sister the house when he passed away the following year, but due to the neglect and the level of disrepair, his sister decided to stay at her own comfortable house. 50 Berkeley Square was left abandoned until 1884, and after Myers' passing, 50 Berkeley Square was said to be both haunted and abandoned, which attracted a lot of attention to the house. Many said the attic chamber is a horrible location in the house. Various stories exist about this location, depending on who is telling them, but one theme recurs again and time again. A young woman haunts the attic. This young woman attempted to flee her violent uncle, but ended her life by jumping out of a window. She has truly scared some people to death with her appearance as a brown mist. According to a different tradition, a young man was imprisoned in the attic space. They fed him through a gap in the door until he went insane. It's reported that his ghost haunts. Once, a maid also spent the night at 50 Berkeley Street in 1879. She had gone entirely insane by the time they found her the following morning. The next day, she passed away in a mental institution. The house was well known for its hauntings, and when it was left vacant, many placed bets to spend a night at the house. Horror is the very powerful genre. What scars you maybe scars us. Last but not least, this is our last serial of this tale. So, if you lived near London, you must be heard a place named Greenwich Foot Tunnel. It's not a normal tunnel. It's a place which is really horrible. Risky to visit, it is considered the most terrifying tunnel of death, located in crosses beneath the River Thames in East London. The tunnel was designed by civil engineer Sir Alexander Binney for London County Council and constructed by contractor John Cochrane or Company. The project started in June 1899, and the tunnel opened on 4 August 1902. Approximately 4,000 people use the tunnel each day. It opened in 1902. Then why is it haunted? It's because of creepy underground walkway. Yes, it's true. Also, have you know that Greenwich is among the top 20 most dangerous boroughs in London? First, let's have a look upon its history to understand. Beginning in 1899, work on the Greenwich Foot Tunnel was finished in 1902. It was purposeful in replacing a less efficient ferry system. Pedestrians can reach the spooky tunnel by taking one of the 2 spacious, dimly lit elevators or by descending the 87 stairs at the north entrance or the 100 steps at the south entrance. The tunnel's appearance was altered on one end when it had to be reinforced after being destroyed by bombs during World War I. The tunnel is accessible all year round. Many of the people who have ventured down into the tunnel throughout the night have reported seeing ghosts roaming around inside. A tunnel is a lengthy, cylindrical promenade that runs beneath London. It is filled with thousands of broken glazed white tiles and is cold, wet, and poorly lit. You get the uneasy feeling that makes you want to glance over your shoulder when you're walking through the tunnel because of the dripping water from the roof and the sounds of other people passing by. It's rumored that the tunnel is patrolled by an 8-year-old girl who has communicated with ghost hunters on several occasions. It is reportedly occupied by several spirits. even though the footsteps echoing off the walls and a Victorian couple approaching people have both happened. In other occasions, even the most seasoned ghost hunters will get spooked after spending a few minutes in the tunnel. But be advised that there is no quick escape. You cannot escape on a bike because the tunnel is only accessible on foot. This was the short and crisp story of series which surely gives you goosebumps. For enjoying more kind of tales or on another genre, stay connected with our channel. Thank you and take care.